Well, like I said, 1927 in Pulaski, Virginia, this little boy, ugly little boy, was born. That turned out to be me. And then I'm going to skip ahead until I was 5 years old, and my mother sent me to school, which was 2 miles away, and the teacher pinned a note on me and sent me home because you're supposed to be 7 years old. And but along that line, my cousin and I, we'd always take our cow down to the bottom, down off the mountain to where the grass was, plentiful, and graze our cows, and then bring them home. But I was doing that when I was 5 and 6 years old. Now we'll go ahead to 1936. And we were loaded up on an A-model pickup with our cow behind the cab, with our furniture and the kids on the back. And we moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, where my folks had a job in the cotton mill. And we had electricity when I got there. I'd walk around and cut the lights on just to see them burn. We'd never had it, to my knowledge. And from there, we'll skip ahead until I was 16 years old. I was running away from home quite often, and my sister came in from California and talked my folks into letting me go in the Navy. I went in the Navy.
What was her name?
I turned in, well, her name was Dorothy. But I turned 16 May the 7th, July the 5th, I was in the Navy. I had never had a date with a girl, never had one to look at me. And I put that uniform on, I become beautiful overnight. The girls loved me then. Take it off, same old story though. Well, while I was in boot camp, I was asked to be on the boxing team. The man in charge of it saw me box in a smoker and asked me if I'd like to be on the boxing team, which I was completely thrilled to do. And all through my Navy career, I never lost a fight. I fought a lot of other ships and around, but it's the first thing in my life that I ever excelled in. I always had a terrible inferiority complex, but when I started boxing, it gave me more confidence than anything I'd ever done. But then we'll go forward a little bit. I was sent to Boston, Massachusetts, and I got on the USS Nevada there, which was an old battleship, but we were quite active. We made, after I got on, I was in a deck division, and we made 2 trips to Belfast, Ireland, convoy trips, uneventful, a few alarms for submarines. But then when we come back, next time I went, it was for the invasion of Normandy. And we, on my 17th birthday, I was in Glasgow, Scotland. That was just before, maybe a month before the invasion of Normandy. So my ship was right in the middle of all of that. And our job was to knock out these shore batteries up on the cliffs and in different places around, which we did. every one that we attempted to knock out, we left it unusable or knocked out one. And then during the Normandy invasion, they say that ships were sinking all around us, that bombs were falling, and that 16-inch shore batteries were shooting at us. And we were never, ships beside of us were hit, but we were never hit. Never by anything. Then we went on to Cherbourg. And Cherbourg, well, Normandy was like a warm-up, they said, compared to Cherbourg. We had more gun emplacements to knock out. And when we had 27 straddles. A straddle is when a shot hits short of you and one hits long. And then usually if they have a spotter, they'll move them down until they get on the target. But fortunately, we were never hit. And during that Cherbourg deal, we got tied in with some paratroopers who had landed, and they had taken over a town, and they radioed us for help. They had tanks coming in on them. They had no way to defend themselves, and we knocked the tanks out right away with their, directions. And then after that, they had a column of German soldiers coming in on them. We knocked those out off the bat. And
What were they coming in on? Something like cars or tanks?
well, the soldiers were probably walking, but the tanks, they had no defense against the tanks. And let's see what else. Well, they claim we were still knocking out these gun emplacements. And one of the last ones we did was up on a cliff. We fired our 14-inch guns, and the shell hit the cliff near the top, and the whole section of the mountain fell into the ocean with the guns and the men, all of them. And there again, we had ships being sunk around us, being hit, and we never received a scratch. Like a miracle, they say. And they say that it was the greatest sea battle with heavy artillery in the history of warfare that we had with the gun placements. Well, after that, we went back to Ireland, England, and replenished, got all of our storage, ammunition, everything we needed. Then we came back and started bombarding southern France. And we bombarded southern France, Toulon, and Marseille. And it was the same old thing. Shells hitting all around us, but nobody ever hit us. And we knocked out every one that we were supposed to, be 4 or 5 at a time. And after that, we came back to the States, to Norfolk. They worked us over a little bit, straightened out everything. Then we went around to the Pacific side. And on my 18th birthday, I was in Hawaiian Islands. We were getting ready to go to Iwo Jima. My ship, when we went to Iwo, my ship fired the first shot on Iwo Jima for the bombardment. And we were in so close there, I could lay up on my gun mount and watch the tanks and the guys with flamethrowers working on the cage. And while I was looking up, I saw the Japs roll a gun out of a cage out of a cave, and I reported it to the tower, and they started firing on it and closed it up in just a few minutes. After Iwo, we moved on to Okinawa. And Okinawa is considered the bloodiest battle in the Pacific, or maybe even during the war. But when we bombarded the coast in Okinawa, they didn't have the resistance landing that they had at Iwo Jima. But after they got ashore and got in, then the Japs really turned it on and attacked them. You know, we had both of them had a high casualty rate. We were hit with a shore battery 5 times. One of the shells went all the way through the ship. There was only 2 men killed and several wounded with that. We were hit with a kamikaze plane, and that kind of messed our record up for not being damaged. Then after Okinawa, there's a little island called Juliet Atoll. We bombarded it and knocked the Japs off of it. My gun mount, we had a hatch above. I'm standing in the hatch watching a kamikaze plane come straight at me. And where everybody was shooting at it. But after a while I did get down. I think they shot it down.
You got to see it while it was coming in.
And you know, it sounds as if I'm bragging, but I never was afraid. Never.
Weren't you watching a movie one night?
Yeah, one night we were out at, supposed to be now the battle area, and watching The Fighting Lady, a war film. 2 kamikaze planes came over so low you could throw a baseball at them almost, and it was dark. And they went by us and hit another ship out from us. Hit a couple of ships. And we were lucky. And the 16-inch and 15-inch shells that missed us like a straddle 17 times, well, you got to double that because you got a shell in front and a shell behind. And it was like a miracle that they didn't hit us. After the China Sea, we came on back to Hawaii. And from there we came to the States, California. And one part I missed earlier that I should have mentioned is that this ship was hit at Pearl Harbor with 5 bombs and 1 torpedo. And under its own power, it made it and beached, keep from blocking a canal where the other ships were trying to get in or out. And then from there they went to Bremerton, Washington, and recommissioned it, spent $23 million on it, and that was before I went on it. After that, they brought it back and put it ready to go to Normandy. And I guess that's about it.
And after you got out of the military, what happened?
Well, 2 weeks after I was out of the military, my sister was instrumental in getting me back in school.
Which sister?
Helen, my oldest sister, Helen. And I ended up completing my high school in 2 years of college. And then Laverne taught me into getting married. I've been paying bills ever since.
And where'd you go to school? Where'd you meet?
We went to Bible school in college where we met. And then after that, this school bought out the old Bob Jones College, and it's called Lee University now. We went there the first year after we were married. And now it's an accredited college, 4-year college. That's about it.